परम पूज्य सोना रिम्पोचे की दूरदर्शी सोच और प्रयासों से परम पावन दलाई लामा के आशीर्वाद से भारत के टेलीविजन इतिहास में पहली बार शुरू हुआ है एक टेलीविजन कार्यक्रम जो समर्पित है भगवान बुद्ध के दर्शन, ज्ञान और बौद्ध परंपराओं को। कार्यक्रम में दुनिया के तमाम बड़े बौद्ध धर्मगुरु, बौद्ध ज्योतिष शास्त्री रोज आप तक पहुंचा रहे हैं अमूल्य जानकारियां। सबसे पहले देखिए बौद्ध धर्म से जुड़ी महत्वपूर्ण जानकारियां। भगवान बुद्ध के दर्शन में कंपैशन यानी करुणा और दया की भावना को सबसे ज्यादा महत्व दिया गया है। आखिर इंसान अपने अंदर कैसे विकसित कर सकता है करुणा और दया की भावना को? परम पावन दलाई लामा ने यही बताया अमेरिका के सियाटल में, जब अमेरिकी पत्रकार डेव मैथ्यूज और एन करी ने उनसे विशेष चर्चा की। आप भी सुनिए ये विशेष चर्चा।
So here's a question. Many people have big difficulty in being compassionate toward their enemy.
Yes.
And you today are facing a difficulty because you are being criticized, and yet you must turn and be compassionate with those who are criticizing you. How can you? What is the way, if compassion is required for happiness, that we can be compassionate with those who hurt us, who make us feel bad, who make us feel criticized and small?
I think essence is compassion or affection. There are two levels. One, mainly biological factor.
Mm-hmm.
That is although seed of compassion, but limited. Because simply, you see, that come by nature to close feeling towards the basis which our life depend. And then similarly, when we face threat, anger, so more or less it's the same
pattern now.
Same pattern. Now we have this marvelous human intelligence. We have the immense sort of capacity to utilize knowledge, long-term consequences, benefit, and short-term. Biological reaction is short-term. Now, with help of intelligence, now long-term consequences. So therefore, on the basis of the biological factor, the closeness feeling, sense of caring, now fuller knowledge, the real value for long-term interest. Then, with intellectual sort of realization, a fuller knowledge, really bring our perception, our concept. That concept transform or bring conviction. Through that way, we can change our attitude. Now here, compassion through training, compassion, that biased compassion, limited compassion, can be unbiased, infinite compassion. Now, biased compassion, biological factor mainly, that cannot go up to your enemy. But now, with help of intelligence, fuller knowledge, with help of that kind of knowledge or wisdom or intelligence, now we can extend our compassion towards our enemy. Now here, the enemy means mainly related with action, not being itself.
कैसे दूर हो आपके जीवन की मुश्किलें, कैसे सवरे आपका करियर, कैसे सफल हो आपका हर काम, क्या कहते हैं आपकी किस्मत के सितारे। जानिए सटीक होने वाली बौद्ध भविष्यवाणियां।
Namaste, Tashi Dilek. 30th December, Thursday, 25th day of the 11th lunar month. The elemental combination is wind and wind. The combination of perfection. The day has sublime energy to quickly accomplish one's wishes. Traveling, reuniting people, and all quick and temporal activities will be successful. The day of Nyenge Namgo, so parties, especially among friends and relatives, should be strictly avoided. Moreover, the Lord of Earth, Sherab Sangpo, moves from south to north direction during night at 5 p.m. to till 12 a.m. Thus, undertaking journey towards that direction would be unfavorable. Bumtong or empty ways is at east direction, so avoid all important activities, especially funeral procession while facing east. 31st December, Friday, 26th day of the 11th lunar month. The elemental combination is earth-wind. This combination has unfavorable energy to reduce the growth of wealth and property, indication of theft, robbery, plundering are there. Disappointment and regret may come if you initiate any productive activities. Particularly on this day, refrain from doing engagement and marriage ceremonies because the day is Phagme Namgo. Bumtong or empty ways is at east direction, so avoid all important activities, especially funeral procession while facing east. The day is not favorable for raising prayer or lungta flags. Thank you and see you tomorrow at same time.
क्या है भगवान बुद्ध का दर्शन, बौद्ध धर्म का गूढ़ ज्ञान, कैसे मिले दुख से मुक्ति, कैसे पाए बुद्धत्व, क्या है धम्मम, क्या है संघम। ये कार्यक्रम आपको हर रोज दे रहा है ऐसे तमाम सवालों के जवाब। आज बौद्ध धर्म के प्रकांड विद्वान परम पावन दलाई लामा से जानिए भगवान बुद्ध का दर्शन और बौद्ध धर्म का सही ज्ञान।
Frankly speaking, in Tibet also, sometimes because of the Tantrayana practice, without the basic qualification, right, basic quality, just you see in the name of practice of Tantrayana, or see the neglect about Vinaya, discipline, these things happen. So these are the reason people losing respect and also develop suspicion about Tantrayana, authenticity of Tantrayana. But then on the other hand, like Nagarjuna, firstly, I think if we know the system of the tantric practice, known well through study, then there is no contradiction. And then like Nagarjuna, as I mentioned earlier, really reliable Buddhist master, very intelligent one, and very scientific minded. He never accepted easily unless he experiment or investigation, unless he convince through experiment, through investigation, he never accept easily. So such person, wrote, I think, the very detailed and clear sort of explanation about Tantrayana. He himself, according his disciple, his immediate disciple, he himself, great practitioner of Tantrayana. Meantime, he remained as a good monk, like that. So therefore, if we study thoroughly and read different sort of commentary, commentaries, and examine by yourself, it is really convincing. Firstly, Mahayana teaching is authentic Buddhist teaching. Without Mahayana or Sanskrit traditions, I think Four Noble Truths, difficult to get deeper understanding about Four Noble Truths. First two truths, okay. The third truth, the truth of cessation, unless you get deeper understanding about the Shunyata theory, very difficult to get sort of the convincing sort of understanding about third noble truth. Then as well as fourth noble truth, the true path to achieve the cessation of these destructive emotions. So, like the Dharmakirti's text, mainly is the logic, Buddhist logic, the 4 chapters. The second chapter, the explaining about the Four Noble Truths through reasoning, not through quotation of Buddha's word, but through reasoning. So, without Sanskrit tradition, explanation available in Sanskrit tradition, without that, difficult to something like, I think, I don't know. Difficult to develop conviction about the possibility of cessation of suffering. So therefore, Sanskrit tradition, of course, the Pali tradition is the basis of Buddha Dharma. Then second Dharma wheel, like Panchaparamita Sutra, is the further explanation about later two truths. The truth of cessation, truth of path. These two truths out of Four Noble Truths, I think without Panchaparamita Sutra's sort of explanation about ultimate reality, which is Shunyata. And Nagarjuna, really great sort of master about Shunyata. So his explanation is really, really convincing. So after reading or study his sort of explanation about Shunyata, Shunyata means interdependency. Once we study that, then the concept of ultimate reality, that Shunyata, becomes something reality. Otherwise, just word, emptiness like that, just word. So unless we study Nagarjuna's explanation, difficult to get real sort of the feeling of possibility of cessation. So therefore, the Mahayana teaching or Sanskrit tradition is very, very important. Then Tantrayana. The Tantrayana sort of, what's the immense help to get the real understanding about the possibility of the cessation. Not only not only the afflicted emotion, destructive emotion, but also the bhakja.
Latin imprints. Imprints of delusions.
Imprints of these destructive emotion. Without understanding about the Tantrayana, very difficult to understand that. And then also, according Pali tradition, Buddha is just one historical figure. That's Buddha, only that Buddha. After he passed away, no, nothing. And early part of his life, ordinary human being. Then at Bodh Gaya, he enlightened. That's according Pali tradition. Now, according Sanskrit tradition, the four kayas, Nirmana Kaya, Sambhoga Kaya, and Dhyana Kaya, and the Dharma Kaya, Dharmata Kaya. Four kayas, or Buddha's body, or four Buddhas. So, just one ordinary human being, they eventually enlightened without proper teacher, by himself, and carrying some teaching. And his teaching's effect remain 1,000 years. Not easily, understandable, difficult. And then Nagarjuna also point out the same practice, the Arahata's practice and Buddha's practice, same practice, but big different result. That also illogical. There was a 37 practice.